Welcome to our channel, ladies and gentlemen. The Law Society of Kenya made good their threats and they went to the street demonstrating against Ruto in what they call Ruto's attempt to thwart the independence of the judiciary after William Ruto started threatening and intimidating judges for making rulings and verdicts that go against him, because according to William Ruto, he wants everything to go according to his plans. William Ruto wants he would want the courts to give him a call and ask him, sir, there is a case before us. How do you want us to make a ruling? If it is a case against the housing levy, Ruto would wish that the judges call him and he tells them, tell Kenyans and Okiya Mutata that this is a wild goose chase, this is hot air. That is how you can become friends, and of course that informed the decision why William Ruto and Madam Koome are still good friends despite the fact that he's threatening the judiciary. If you look at the ruling of 2022, I still strongly believe that someone must have written the verdict for Madam Koome to read, just to ensure that Raila was reduced to a shell. Now that the judges are standing firm, looking at facts, being led by the penal codes and ruling according to the constitution, they have become enemies to William Samoei Ruto, and very many groups condemned Ruto's attempts to interfere with the autonomy of the judiciary. So the Law Society of Kenya was one of the groups which had called for demos so that people can express their dissatisfaction and anger about Ruto's conduct, a man who was given a sword and a constitution and has got an inherent constitutional mandate to defend our laws. Kindly subscribe to our channel if you're watching us for the first time. Click the notification bell, like our videos and share them. To all our supporters, allow me to thank you in a very special way. So ladies and gentlemen, Kalonzo Musyoka, a very rare moment, led the Law Society of Kenya in demonstrations and telling William Ruto that they are not going to allow this kind of shenanigans. We cannot go back to the Nyayo era. Take a look.
Be accepted. Therefore, Chief Justice Martha Koome and your team, we want to say as Law Society that we stand in solidarity. We are not even here to ask you to issue any favorable orders, but just as the President has said, to do the right thing under the law. If this country is not under the rule of law, then it can only mean we are under the jungle law, and that cannot happen. That's why our parents have spent so much money to get such cream of learned lawyers and other professions as well. We know if other professions as well had the time, they would also speak the same language. So, Mr. President, aluta continua.
Struggle continues.
The struggle continues.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Tekeleza katiba, tekeleza! Tekeleza! Tekeleza katiba, tekeleza! Tekeleza!
I think what we do. Yes.
Uheshimu sheria, uheshimu mahakama, mambo ni mangapi? Mambo ni mangapi? Uheshimu sheria, uheshimu mahakama.
You know, ever since William Ruto ascended to power, he has been taken to court many times, more than any other president, whether Moi, Kibaki, Uhuru Kenyatta. You know, he does things unilaterally. He does not care about incorporating the views of other stakeholders. And even when he does, it will be a mere formality. You will be called to give your views about the cost of living, the housing levy, the finance bill 2023, but it will be for formality, just to be, you know, recorded. It is on record that Kenyans participated. I remember this has been a threat, and people have aired their views that when he declared his appetite for GMO, he never consulted, and the Law Society of Kenya and other groups the peasant farmers went to court, and one of the arguments was he didn't incorporate the views of other stakeholders. There was no public participation. In the housing and finance bill, people talked, people gave their views, and people said, we are not ready for this, you can wait for another moment. But Parliament was coerced to overlook the views of the people, and they passed it. So there has been a problem. He's being taken to court. At one point, he wanted people like Malala and Ndi to become part of the cabinet. It was taken to court. In fact, people have been wondering, does William Ruto listen to the pieces of advice or guidance from the Attorney General, Justin Muturi? Because we know that Justin Muturi is being frustrated in that docket. Is Attorney General, is the Attorney General advising William Ruto? And if he does William Ruto listen to him? And many experts say that William Ruto only listens to one man. He listens to William Samoei Ruto. That is it. It is either his way or the highway. Now, the condemnation has not only come from the Law Society of Kenya. Yesterday, for those who watch my channel, I did a video about the East African Magistrates and Judges Association that ganged up and condemned William Ruto's act of trying to interfere with the independence of the judiciary. And today in that demonstration, the East African Law Society was also there. It was represented by their vice chairperson. Very many independent groups, especially those that deal with the law and human rights, they are looking at William Ruto and they feel this man is taking people to the dark areas. There was a time where the whole of Africa was full of darkness. A lot of coup d'etats, interference with the human rights. Even though we are not yet there, not yet Uhuru, but at least we have made progress. The people who did not participate in trying to expand the democratic space are back. The new colonialism is back. And that is why in most of these countries, you will see that the US and the UK would want to pick a president for themselves so that the president would take us back to the dark old days. This has really exposed William Ruto. He has championed himself as a man he has presented himself as a man who is a champion for democracy. When people go to the streets, he tells them that we must be governed by the rule of law. And he has mentioned that severally. I remember when he wrote a letter to the international community. He said Raila wanted to topple his government. And he maintained that Kenya must be governed by the rule of law. Yet now, he himself is going against the rule of law, exposing him as a man who is full of himself. Because according to him, he does not want to rule with the constitution. He does not want to confine himself within the precincts of the constitution. He wants to go beyond. But I explained that when you're a president, your hands are tied. You cannot go beyond the constitution. Kenyans have come from dark days where people are being detained, without trial. A president will rule with iron fist and do whatever he wants. And Kenyans voted for this constitution because they wanted to be governed in a certain way. William Ruto always says that he wants unity. He goes to other countries. He wants peace and tranquility. He's about to send 1,000 policemen to Haiti. Yet back at home, he's rocking trouble and initiating a lot of mayhem. Political, social, religious, economic mayhem. You cannot be good at the international front. They give him a standing ovation. He makes speeches. Yet back at home, people reject him because of his way of leading. Perhaps the only people who endorse him for his governance is Madam Meg Whitman, our headmistress in Kenya, who is representing the US. William Ruto is just a conduit of perpetuating what the West wants. But people don't like him. When Azimio went to the streets to protest against the high cost of living, economic justice, electoral justice, they were accused of trying to sabotage William Samoei Ruto. And they stopped. They said, you wanted time to build this economy, but when we give you time, corruption, you're forcefully doing things that are, beyond our laws. Now he's back again. He's accusing people of sabotaging him. When people go to the streets, according to the constitution, you're sabotaging William Ruto. When you go to the street, you're sabotaging William Ruto. The hustlers, some people bought this narrative that when Raila led a group of Kenyans to go to the street, they were killing their businesses. Now they realize that the businesses are suffering a natural death because the Azimio was just but trying to help them so that life could improve. Now the high cost of living, and Raila is no longer on the streets. They are now telling him go back to the streets. And William Ruto has been exposed. Rigathi Gachagua used to say that wanataka kuua biashara zetu. Now biashara zimekufa. The environment is not conducive for the businesses. Our investors are running away. The cost of fuel is high and the cost of education. Right now, parents are taking back their children to school. It is too hard, very expensive for them. How I wish that we tried Raila because he had promised to give us free education. Maybe life would be better. I'm saying maybe because I'm giving him the benefit of doubt. So, ladies and gentlemen, he has been exposed. He does not mean peace when he talks about peace. He's not democratic as he says. In fact, William Ruto has exposed himself as a man who is no longer an emerging Pan-Africanist as we thought. He's now an emerging dictator. The dictator of our times. The Kaunda man. A Moi in a different skin. He's forgetting that Moi had all the time because he was operating under a different constitution. We are operating under a new dispensation. He cannot just come up with things and he feels it is going to be business as usual. So these demonstrations are not being led by Raila Amolo Odinga as they thought. This is now the judiciary, the Law Society of Kenya. And William Ruto is the author of his own predicaments. He threatens not once, not twice, and he defends it that he is ready to make hard decisions, including threatening people with swords. He calls it, those are hard decisions. And this is the narrative that they're now running. Kwamba Ruto is ready to make hard decisions to make the economy grow. We didn't see this from Mwai Kibaki. In fact, Mwai Kibaki was a soft-spoken man. Hakuwa naongea mingi, the way William Ruto is threatening everyone. He went to work. Ruto's policies are very unpopular, yet he wants to force it down the throat of other people. But I don't want to sympathize so much with Madam Koome. As people go to the street and they even brave tear gas, because I don't know how it will end. As I do this video, it's still happening. The police just decide to pounce on them. Koome is busy and enjoying her relationship with William Samoei Ruto. Look at where she has placed the whole country. When she was reading the Wild Goose Chase and Hot Air, she thought it was going to be roses, a bed of roses. She's realizing that it was a total mistake. How I wish that she would also be on the street. It is only that we don't want Kenya to go back to the dark days. Otherwise, Madam Koome should have been left to suffer. Because you cannot dine with the hyena and expect to be free. Once the food is gone, the hyena will turn on you and will tell you now it is you next. The hyena is now turning on the people who aided him. And so, ladies and gentlemen, I can assure you, if you look at the mood in the country, there is a revolution kind of mood. People are talking about it. Jimmy Wanjigi talked about it. The youths are talking about it. They were duped. And people are ready. Kenya is sitting on a time bomb. They are only looking for something to trigger them. You know, William Ruto has got this, courage that he's got the sword, he's got the military, he's got the police. And especially the police that still feel that their motto is not to tumishi kwa wote, but they feel they are defending William Ruto's government because they are Kalenjins, or they are defending, Rigath's government because they are Kikuyus. They also, and when you look at them, some of them live under squalid and pathetic conditions. So that when people fight for them, wamefunikwa macho, they are blindfolded. They don't realize that the fight against impunity, the fight against injustice, is also the fight for themselves. Instead of joining, they are busy wrecking mayhem and killing people on the street. But one day, ladies and gentlemen, things will get worse. William Ruto is staring at a possibility, as a reality of being a one-term president. Because if you interfere with people until you get to the people who helped you, you'll realize some of his rulings will be thwarted. The Law Society of Kenya has begun it. The good thing, this is not led by Azimio, so that the propaganda. But anyway, they will still say that huyu ni Raila amekapo, and you'll still see them say that it is Uhuru Kenyatta who has sponsored the demonstrations. Everything that happens, whether there are cases in the court, people going to the street, it is Uhuru Kenyatta who is sponsoring them. It is Raila Amolo Odinga. They're the people that you'll hear them say, they're the people who interfered with our economy, now they are back. And Kenyans are much wiser than what you may think, ladies and gentlemen. And so we wait and see. For Kalonzo Musyoka, he's a lawyer and he feels bad when the judiciary is being threatened. I don't know what you think, but that is my take.